The next is from P. Alberto Sanchez. Subject is question. Hey, them. Oh my God, this guy's get the kazoo ready. Okay. Hey, them / they. He's referring to us by our pronouns.
Yeah, like we're snowflakes or something.
Long time listener.
Okay, yeah. All right. Recently, Nia Jax has publicly talked about how dangerous Ronda is. On last Monday's show, that was 2 Mondays ago, by the way, Nia performed a move on Kairi Sane. Kairi audibly said, "I'm not set."
Yeah.
And Nia performed the powerbomb anyway, causing Kairi to hit middle turnbuckle where she couldn't protect herself as opposed to the top turnbuckle. After this, among breaking Becky's nose, not catching Charlotte at the tail end of the moonsault, separating Bayley's shoulder and throwing her out of the ring, concussed Zelina Vega, the list goes on. Why is she still employed with WWE? Is this a nepotism thing? People have been fired for being far less reckless. See Kennedy and Ken. Oh, so why is Nia given a free pass? And isn't it time for Nia to shut up about Ronda's work in the ring? P. Alberto Sanchez. We talked about this last week, but let's just reiterate.
Yeah, our
it
listeners.
Is bizarre. It is bizarre, her standing with that company. Because she, like we talked about, I had no idea about this, that she had walked out twice.
Yeah.
Like we talked about that, Conan?
Right, yeah, we talked about that.
So obviously she's I mean, right, I would just assume she's protected.
Bro, like I said last week, she walked out on them and they still went to call her. Like, bro, what is she selling tickets or some shit? Like, no.
I mean, she's the Rock.
Right, I know the Rock and the Samoan thing and all that, but still, you got to be professional, Right. Well, and on top of that, all that, she fucking was very, very reckless. She was very lucky that girl didn't get hurt. Very reckless.
Obviously, our listeners like to hear us talk about Nia and what happens with her in the ring and whether or not she
but that's not cool, bro. Because when somebody's giving you their body and they're thinking you're going to take care of them, and you fucking are reckless, other people aren't going to want to work with you. Or people are going to, don't do that to me. Just don't do it to me.
Let me say this. Her story would be different in our eyes if she would show a little more humility.
Right. She shows none.
She's mouthy on Twitter.
Right.
She's mouthy on Twitter.
Yeah, the whole thing with Ronda's got to be a work, but she's still very mouthy. Like when she went after Kevin,
right. Yeah,
that girl is wearing something exactly like his girlfriend used to wear.
Right. So it's like, it's funny. It's just, I don't know. It's a different locker room. It's like, so it's like,
next to real quick.
Wait, Joe's trying to get something.
Go ahead.
The subject of the email was kind of like nepotism and wrestling and whatnot. So since we've already answered the Nia question, I had a side question. What's the worst cases of nepotism you guys have ever seen in wrestling? Because it happens a lot, guys. Sons come in, brothers, cousins, whatever,
Eric Watts, by far.
Really?
Oh, by far. Because he was like, bro, he was in WCW. They gave him a push, and he was like, he was not ready. I liked Eric.
That's what I was going to say.
Like if you met the guy, he's a funny guy. He's cool and everything. But him getting the push that he wanted, bro, that pissed off guys like, Arn Anderson. That pissed off some old school, legend guys. So it's easily the worst case of nepotism in the history of wrestling.
What about David Flair? Because Eric could go.
I don't. It's kind of weird. They used it. I don't really think Rick promoted him that much. Like Rick never really. Did you ever see Rick ever go to bat for David?
No. Plus, David really didn't have it. You know what I'm saying?
I think they kind of wanted to just bring him in and I think Eric maybe hired him because he wanted to make kind of embarrass him because he wanted to get back at Rick. I don't know. That was But the worst case of nepotism to me was the Watts thing because he got brought in with a push during a time when Dusty, Nikita, the Horsemen, during a time of legendary wrestling. Then all of a sudden Eric Watts' kid's in there and it's like, and plus the boys didn't like Eric Watts or Bill Watts.
Right.
Bill Watts had a lot of heat with the boys.
And this was a nepotism, but this was like cronyism kind of. Like a lot of times Hogan would bring in his boys and everybody would get pissed off.
Beefcake.
Because they couldn't go anymore. Yeah.
Right.
I actually heard, though, that Eric Watts and Cyrus had the best match in TNA pay-per-view history, if you remember.
That's what I'm going to do. We'll let Cyrus talk about that when he's on the show. But that's – kazoo that, Joe. Coney. Joe was